All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to let the number of participants slowly go up a little bit more. I'll give it a few seconds and we'll get started. All right. Looks like the number's slowing down. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. We're here to talk about using CIP Project Planner, also known as CPP, for staff planning. And my name is Clarissa Michel. I oversee the training and development team, and we've got a nice group here of presenters that will give you details about this topic in particular. If some of you guys probably remember, we were discussing this same topic last year. It's kind of an annual thing, so it may seem repetitive, but it's a nice reminder and a heads up of some actions that need to be taken place for preparing for staff planning. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started and go through the slide deck. Our presenters today, as you can see, they're across multiple divisions within PW. So we've got a great team here that will present Amy Bernwinger, Suzanne McPherson, Matt Barrett, Anthony Nguyen, Grant Huang, and Rashmi Maheshwari. Thank you to presenters for compiling all the information and planning this and also presenting today. So you'll hear a little bit from each one of them. We've got a packed agenda today. As you can see, we'll be touching on a few areas, and there's also some tasks that you'll take away and eventually do. And in the middle of this training, there's going to be a lot of information, but we will have a Q&A opportunity for everyone to ask questions. My recommendation will be, if you ever have a question throughout this training, feel free to send it in via the Q&A feature on your webinar. There's probably something down below on your bar that says Q&A. Click that and then submit your question, type it in, and then our presenters here will go hop in there and respond back to your question. If there's any questions that we want to talk in detail, we have a portion in the training for Q&A, and we can talk through that, and our presenters can go into a little bit more detail. But you'll see that's at the very end, so we'll get through a lot of the content first. And with that said, I will go ahead and turn it over to Amy, our first presenter.
Hi, thanks, Clarissa. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I just wanted to give you kind of an idea of what it is that I do with the information that you're going to be entering into the CPP. So basically, each year I work on the department's capital staffing plan. And so this is an exercise that I go through to determine the staffing levels that are needed to support capital projects in the next fiscal year. And I'm working with the information that you enter. I'm working with your division managers, your section leaders, to make these determinations throughout the next few months. The first step, though, to this exercise is for you to update the CPP with information for projects that already exist and are going to continue into the new fiscal year, and projects that may be new that will start in the new fiscal year, the next fiscal year. Existing projects should be entered and updated by December 12th, and any new projects should be entered by January 9th. This exercise, it helps our partner departments determine which projects are going to push forward for the next year, and it helps us determine the staffing and funding required to complete the projects. I wanted to give you an idea of what my end goal is in this exercise and how this information helps me get through the exercise. So essentially, we have about 250 positions, give or take, in this department that are funded through capital projects. And so part of the goal in completing these estimates is to determine whether there's still a need for the 250 positions. We might need more. If there's a lot of project work, I'm going to ask for more positions for you. There might be less. And so if that's the case, we might think about deleting vacant positions that are not going to be used in the next fiscal year. And sometimes it's just about swapping positions from one team to another team. If there's not as much work for one section and the other section next to it has more work, we're going to look at swapping people around. So it's just about balancing the need of FTE as it relates to the projects that are entered into the CPP. Your entries help us make the most well-informed decisions that we can on how we're going to move forward with our capital staffing plan. And so it's really important that you get as much information in there as you can and as quickly as you can based on the dates that you're seeing in front of you here on the key dates. Aside from the determination of the capital staffing plan, your entries are going to help Suzanne set the Public Works Cost Allocation Plan, or the PW CAP, for the following fiscal year. But she's going to talk more about that a little bit later. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. And I'm going to share with you just a quick look at what it is that I'm looking at and how I'm getting the information for the reports that I use. So okay. So once you're in the CPMS and you kind of come over to the project portal, you'll see this screen and you want to click onto the reports. And there's lots of reports for you to access. In this case, I'm looking at the dashboards. Lots of different dashboards you can look at. So in this case, I'm looking specifically at this staff planning report. Maybe. So as you're going through your CPP process, and this is going to be talked about a little bit later in this refresher training, it's going to be important that you tag your projects, and you're going to tag the projects with fiscal year 26-27 cost estimate. When you do that, it pulls into the staff planning dashboard. And you can kind of see the number of total tagged projects. You can look at each individual section. If you want to look at your division, you can see how many FTE are being included at that moment in time in your section, in your division, sorry, and then also down into the actual sections. So it's important that you kind of keep an eye on this as you're entering your projects. Making sure that you're capturing the workload that reflects the number of FTE, or full-time equivalent employees, that you have in your teams. So this is kind of the first step. One of the reports that was created for the staffing plan specifically is this attachment B that you see over here to the right-hand side. And so this is a report. When I click on it, it's going to take me over to take a look at what's been entered. It's going to actually break down the number of FTE for me, and show me how many FTE are included in each of the projects that you have entered to date. So you can kind of take a look at that. Let's see here. So I just want to remind everyone there's a lot of reports here to look at. You can kind of see this whole list of reports. You can scroll down and you're going to see lots of different information that you may find interesting as you're going through your entries or completing them. So I would just encourage you guys to take a look at this when you have a chance, play around with it, and please do reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to help. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share, and that's going to do it for me.
Thank you, Amy. I will turn it over to Suzanne.
Great. Thanks, Clarissa. Hi, everyone. I'm Suzanne McPherson. I'm the senior accountant in charge of the fiscal group. You see me a lot when I sign off on your memos and change orders, service orders, but I'm also in charge of setting the PW cap rates. And this is the first step in my process of doing that. So you've heard from Amy that the staff planning exercise focuses on entering FTEs. Uh, as part of this exercise, I've provided corresponding labor rates that get applied to those FTEs, depending on the funding programs you choose. Those funding programs align exactly with the PW cap rates I set and maintain. So the entries you make here will help me prepare the PW cap rates for fiscal 26-27. Therefore, it's very important to choose the right program. To help you choose the right program, you can find this table on the right by clicking on the question mark icon next to Program on the Main Project tab in CPMS. Um, if you so The way to use this table is if you already know the primary fund for your project, find that fund in the table in the column on the right and choose the corresponding program. You may notice that there are some similar program names. Airport, Parks, and PW each have two possible programs. So please make sure you're choosing the right one by referring to the fund next to it. When in doubt, your partner department, contact, or their analyst team should know which fund will support your project, but you can also reach out to me or your division analyst for general guidance. Um, let's see. Program choice and FTEs are important, but also be sure to enter consultant fees. They're also a basis for PW cap, and not just labor. So that needs to be as accurate as possible as well. Grant will be showing you where to enter those. Next slide. This slide is just a graphical um, uh, representation of what I've talked about already. PW cap rates and costs are a sensitive topic to your program your partner departments. So it's important to enter as much accurate data here as possible so that the rates that I apply and collect from your partner departments is as aligned as well as can be with good estimates and everything. So this is just just double check everything, make sure you've got things aligned properly and complete and accurate. Much appreciated. And that does it for me. So next up is Matt Barrett.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Suzanne, and thanks everybody for being here this morning. My name's Matt Barrett. I'm an associate engineer in the survey section of the Engineering Services Division. And the Engineering Services Division provides a lot of the support services to the capital projects that help we like to think of ourselves as partners to help deliver capital projects with the project managers to the department and to the city. So the section is divided into 5 different groups that provide support services for capital projects. And these are support services that you want to make sure that you take into account when you're developing your project budgets and developing your CPP plan. I'll go over a little bit of the services that are offered by each section. I work in the survey section, so I'm a little more familiar with those services. And survey provides services through almost every phase of capital project delivery. In phase 1, we do topographic surveys, boundary research. Phase 2, anything related to real estate or property. We can develop plat maps and legal descriptions, help with easements, encroachments, or anything related to property research and title reports. In phase 3, we do plan and spec review. And a quick note about plan and spec review, not just for the survey section, but for all of the engineering services sections. Even if you're working on a project that you don't expect to include engineering services support on, if you're doing a consultant design project and the contractor is going to be responsible for surveying or other services, it's still a good practice to send your plans and specs through our sections for review when you're in design. We're all the subject matter experts on these different topics, so it's good for us to be able to review and provide comment back and to help to provide feedback and catch issues before things move into construction. Phase 3 is also the time when we can provide any supplemental survey work if we need to help you refine your scope or adjust your scope before you finalize your plans. Phase 5, we provide construction staking services, pavement marking layout, monument preservation services if your construction is going to impact survey monuments. And in phase 6, helping to close the project out, filing any corner records or records of survey related to survey work on that project. And if you have any questions about any of those services or want more info about how we can help to support your project, you can reach out to our city land surveyor, AJ Banwaite. You can reach out to me, or you can reach out to our new chief of surveys, John Dyke. Materials testing lab provides, as the name might imply, support with materials on your project. Oftentimes that means pavement, but there's other material services that they can provide support with. Geotechnical evaluations, log of boring, pavement design and investigations, again, plan and spec review. In construction, material submittals, sampling and testing, inspection of materials. And if you have questions about any of those services, you can reach out to Henry Lee, the senior inspector, or Lorena Popescu, the associate engineer over in MTL. Construction management services, there's 2 groups that you might work with on your project. The first group is our CIP inspection service. This is the group that does the civil inspection for your project. They're the ones that ensure that the contractor in the field is actually building the project that you designed. So through phase 3, they do plan and spec review. Phase 5, they do all the field inspection work and construction coordination between you as the PM, the contractor, any other parties in the field. And for questions about that, you can reach out to Adolfo Alvarez, the construction manager, Frank Moreno, principal construction inspector, or Chris Hernandez, principal construction inspector. Frank covers projects for storm and sanitary, and Chris covers projects for electrical, roads and bridges, airport, and CFAS. The other CMS group that you might work with is our utility locating group. This is the group that helps to identify and locate city-owned underground utilities. They can provide support in design to locate existing utilities and in construction also to locate existing utilities to help avoid utility strikes and damage to city utilities by the contractor. If you have questions about anything that they can do to help support your project, you can reach out to Gary Sangha, construction manager, or Barinder Singh, PCI in that group. The last group over here in engineering services is the structural engineering and code inspection group. This group ensures that the structures within the city, buildings within the city, are built safely, soundly, and up to code. So they do plan and spec review and building code review. Presently, we're on the 2022 building code cycle, but I believe at the end of the year, it's switching to a 2025 cycle. So if you have questions about that or how it might relate to your project, please reach out to the contacts there at the bottom. And then in phase 5 during construction, they support permitting and inspections for plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and building code compliance on your project. The contacts there, Ron Cruz, principal engineer, and Alexis Cervantes, senior engineer. Alexis is out on paternity leave at the moment, so please reach out to Ron in the short term for any questions, but Alexis should be back in the next few months. Next slide, please. So when requesting a cost estimate for these support services, we have a handy-dandy central form and system to submit cost estimate requests through CPMS and Smartsheet. The reason that we do this is so that our cost estimate requests are tracked centrally, both for PMs to be able to see where their cost estimates have been submitted and what the status is, and for us on the receiving end and the fulfilling end to make sure that we haven't missed any cost estimate requests and that we have a central location that we can go back and reference previous cost estimate requests. When you're submitting your request, as you'll see in our demonstration in a few minutes, you'll have a lot of the information automatically populated over from CPMS into your request forms to minimize the amount of extra typing that you have to do. And requests can be sent at any time and during any phase of your project. A lot of these projects are going to be very preliminary when you're submitting cost estimate requests for staff planning purposes. You might only have a budget and a rough program for what the project is going to consist of. And we can provide a high-level program level estimate at that point. But the more detailed information you can provide, the more accurate and more refined our estimate can be. And you can resubmit multiple requests for updated estimates as your scope gets more refined as you move through scoping and design. As I said, please include as much detailed information as possible. If you have plans and specs that you can send, that would be great. If you have a schedule of quantities or engineer's estimate, that would be great. Anything that we can use as a basis to build our own cost estimates for your project. The more information we have, the better our estimate will be. Please allow a minimum of 2 weeks for estimates. We are relatively small groups within Public Works, and with the CPP process, we're going to be receiving a lot of cost estimate requests in the next few weeks. So any additional time that you can give us to respond to those requests would be greatly appreciated, but we do ask for a minimum of a 2-week turnaround time to fulfill any cost estimate requests. Please provide a charge number for your project, and please check that it's open to the services that you're requesting estimates from. Again, we know that a lot of these projects might be preliminary in scope, and if you don't have a charge number for it yet, that's okay, but please do provide one if you have one. Be sure to request an updated estimate prior to finalizing your award memo. Again, you can request at any time, but when you're getting ready to finalize your project budget, as the project goes to advertisement and award, it's important to have final numbers from all of the support groups to include in your final budget. When you receive those numbers from our groups, they're going to be a little bit different for the different groups. CMS CIP inspection will provide their estimates in terms of per position or per classification. So you'll have separate estimate numbers for each senior inspector, principal inspector, construction manager for your project. For MTL, SECI, Survey, and CMS USA, you'll receive kind of a lump sum number of hours that section is expected to work on your project, but it won't be broken out by classification. Last, just a reminder that no cost estimate requests will be accepted by email. If you do send us an email asking for a cost estimate request, we will kindly ask you to resubmit that request through CPMS and Smartsheet so that it gets logged into our system and tracked along with the rest of the requests. And so now that you know what we do and how to approach submitting a cost estimate request, I will pass it off to my colleague, Anthony Nguyen, who will go over a demonstration of using the system to submit a request.
Thank you, Matt. My name's Anthony Nguyen, Engineer 2 for Survey Section. I'll go over the cost estimate request demonstration. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see. So to begin, you're going to log in to your CPMS portal, project portal, and it should default to your list of projects. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on your project, and it should take you to your project details portal. From here, you're going to go. Okay, let me refresh. Okay. Like some technical errors going on with
One second.
CPMS on my own.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah. Sure.
You can probably start on the Smartsheet end of it. Yeah.
Um, so ignoring the fact that there's issues right now. You can there's dashboards that you can find on the project portal that will take you to some of the estimate summaries and smart sheets. So for example, right here, if you click the CPP summary dashboard, it'll take you to the cost estimate dashboard, and it will show you all the current cost estimates that are completed from each section, and which is in green, and those that are in red are currently cost estimates that are being worked on within the respective section that has been requested. Within this dashboard, there's a lot of information that you can look through and scroll through to see what services are being worked on. And on the right side, there's also useful links to get into those summary reports or estimates. The one that is recommended is just using the all estimate requests just to see every single project that has their cost estimate requested. It'll show all of either current requests, cost estimates, and also past cost estimates that were requested. Usually those are going to be grayed out for past cost estimates, and then for more like resubmittals, and those are the complete are going to be green. So it's just gonna add on. Usually for support service request, once you submit your cost estimate, it'll send you an email. Here's the first one. They'll just give you a confirmation like, hey, this is the cost estimate. Your cost estimate request has been submitted, and it'll tell you what services that you requested. It'll give you two links to the dashboard. The second link will take you to the dashboard, and the first link will take you to the estimate reports for other projects. Some other emails that go on is on our end, the section that gets requested will be notified that a new cost estimate has been requested, and usually this section will start working on it and try to get your cost estimate back to you with to the PM within the 2-week time span. Once the cost estimate is completed, you'll get another email stating that the cost estimate has been completed, and there's a link so that you can go on Smartsheets and look for your cost estimate and see what has been inputted for the certain section. And for this case, it would be survey. And then there's one last email that also confirms that the cost estimate has been completed as well.
I think CPM says that. Yeah.
Yeah, CPM says that. Okay. So going backwards, once you go onto your project portal, you're gonna go to edit, and once you go to edit, you're gonna go to settings, click on settings, go to the drop-down menu, go to cost estimate request. Sorry. Once you go to cost estimate request, just know that you're always gonna have to go to your project, to the CPMS, go to your project, and go down to this drop-down menu. As if you bookmark it, or let's say save a link somewhere for it, sometimes the URL will change, and it will, it will change it could change, and it won't work if you bookmark it and such. So it's important that you go to the portal and go to the cost estimate request every single time. Don't bookmark it. So once you go to the cost estimate request, click on that. It will take you to the cost estimate request form, and it will pre-fill some of the sections for you, such as the project ID, the project name, the requester, project manager, email address, and such. The only thing that you will need to fill in is the engineering estimate. Please have an engineering estimate beforehand, so we just know what we're working with. Estimated number of working days, charge number. If you can't provide a charge number, just you can update the cost estimate as well, request form with the charge number, but just have a charge number hopefully by then. For existing project, you're gonna click new project for new cost estimates. And when you go on due date, so give us the due date will be 2 weeks from when you submit the cost estimate request form. So like if you were to request it today, 2 weeks from now, it would be December 4th would be your due date. For additional information, just explain the project, what's going on with it, and as much as you can. So we as survey, NTL, CMS, utilities, or SECI can give you the most accurate and cost estimate back to you. And then for which group are you requesting services from? For this case, I'm just going to do survey because it's what I'm used to. But for survey request, you're going to go down to the drop menu and you're going to pick the services for survey. In this case, I'm just going to go with the ones that I commonly see, which is topo work, plan specs and reviews, and construction checking and monument preservation. So if you have any questions on any of the services that are within each of the sections, you can refer back to Matt's presentation slide with all the contacts. Yeah. Once you pick out your services, you're gonna click submit, and once you click submit, you'll get the email that I mentioned that your cost estimate report has been submitted. Oh, and if you are gonna, and if something changes along your project and you need to resubmit your cost estimate, just do the same steps all over again, but instead of a new project, you're gonna click ongoing project, and same thing with the due date, give us 2 weeks. And then on additional information, just tell us just tell us that this cost estimate is a resubmittal, and explain what changes happened to the project and explain any further information about the project as much as you can. So as we can give you a more accurate cost estimate. I believe that's it on my end. Hand it over to Clarissa.
Thanks, Anthony. All right, and we'll turn it over to Grant.
Hi everyone, my name is Grant Huang. I'm an associate landscape architect with the CFAS division. I'm going to be reviewing how to create a new CPP estimate for a new project, as well as how to update the CPP for an existing project. On the screen here are a couple really good tips on the process of creating a new CPP. I'm not going to go over each of them because we're going to walk through them in the demonstration shortly. So we can just jump right into the walkthrough. I'll share my screen. Okay, so we're going to start with creating a CPP estimate for a brand new project. For the example, we're going to use this project I have up here. It's an all-inclusive playground project at Camden Park. It's a project that we are just getting started with, so it's a good example. First couple things you want to look for as you prepare to create a new CPP is on the main project page, you just want to make sure the program is populated and correct. And then jumping over to the budget tab, you want to make sure an FMS ID has been assigned for your project. In the budget tab, if you click edit, it'll be helpful for you if you're able to fill in as much as you can at that time of the project, if you have the total project budget, as well as any sense of the engineer's estimate and the contingency amount associated with that. As you develop the CPP and estimate the staff and non-staff costs, you'll get a better sense on where you are in terms of your budget. Before we open the CPP, if we just jump over to the resource summary here, I just want to show you what this looks like at this time before you've created the CPP. So this tab is able to show you all the estimated hours for staff as well as the actual hours billed. You can see there's no estimated hours because we haven't created a CPP yet, but there are some hours billed to the project. If you hover over, you can see who has been billing the project. This is me. This is my title. And it's just going to be identified as a yellow alert because it's exceeded the estimate or it doesn't show up in the CPP. So we'll jump into the CPP and look at how to resolve that. To access the CPP, you're just going to click on this icon here. It's under the budget tab as well as the schedule tab, so you can go through either. After you click on it, if it's your very first time creating CPP, it's just going to look slightly different. This I've already created or requested to create a CPP so that we can walk through it. But if it's your very first time, I'll just use another example project. It's simply going to say create new CPP project workspace. After you click that, it won't bring you to the CPP. It'll actually bring you to a form, very simple form that you just have to fill out project ID, the project manager, and any of the delegates that you want to give access to that CPP to view and edit. After you click submit, shortly after you'll receive an email just letting you know that your CPP has been created. So then you'll get a link more similar to this. Clicking that, it will open the CPP. So we'll actually first bring you over to the dashboard, which has a couple details about your project. When creating a new CPP estimate, the first thing you'll actually want to do is to create the schedule. So for this demonstration, I've already created the schedule just so we can move a little quicker to the estimate. But just looking at the schedule for a little bit, really all you're going to be doing for the schedule is populating the durations. The schedule in CPP already has a lot of really good boilerplate information for you that's generic to pretty much all projects. So you want to jump in and look at the yellow cells that you're able to input the durations for each of these periods for all the different milestones within your construction document preparation, going into procurement as well as construction. Enter just an estimated construction duration if you're able to at that time. And that will help you develop the CPP estimate. A couple things with the schedule as well is you can create some unique line items as needed. For this particular project in phase one, there's some concept development as well as some public outreach that I know is going to be a significant duration of time. So I inputted those line items and just put a duration associated with them. So after you've taken a pass with the schedule, you're going to jump into Project Budget Planner. This is essentially the CPP estimate. I sort of use those terms interchangeably. I'm going to go ahead and collapse the left navigation menu here so we can see the full view. A couple project details are on the top of your page, and you can see in parentheses here, it says it's pulling it from CPMS. So this pulls the number that you've inputted previously in CPMS. As we looked at previously in the budget tab, this is the entire budget. This is the estimated engineer's estimate or the construction cost amount that's inputted in CPMS as well. This is the percentage that you put in for the construction contingency. And this is the estimated project cost. Currently, all this includes is the construction cost and the contingency because we haven't inputted any numbers for the staff costs and non-staff costs. But once we start populating this page, this is going to add up essentially all the hard costs and soft costs, and you can start comparing that number to the current budget to see where you're at. For the CPP estimate, I'm going to focus on phase three, but of course you're going to want to just kind of go through each and every phase and start populating the staff that are going to be spending time on your project. For phase three, the first thing that I like to do is I just go to my title since I'm the project manager and I start inputting the information. One of the most important columns that you want to populate if you add any hours to that staff title is the section. You want to make sure the section is inputted in there and accurate because that really goes back to a lot of the staff reports, and that data is used for a lot of other purposes. So for example, here under section, I'm going to go ahead and choose my own section, PW, CFAS, Landscape Architecture Section 1. And then assign to and task details. I like to put these when I can, but you don't really have to assign all staff that you populate in the CPP estimate. If they're in my section, I'll go ahead and populate them just so we have a better sense on who's working on the project within this section. So I click the drop down, I can go ahead and select my name. It'll show your name. If you need a different name, you can add new. And then once you add anyone to the CPP, it'll start showing up on every drop-down menu that you click. For task details, I like to put something here when I can, just for future reference. If I come back to this later, I understand why I added that staff associated with this project. And it's also for anyone else reviewing the CPP estimate as well that doesn't have the background that you have when you created it. So here I'll simply just put project manager. I'm going to put some example estimated hours here. So for example, I will put just 200, and then I'll just go ahead and start populating a lot of these line items. I'll stay with CFAS staff. I'll go and input some hours for my supervisor. So I'll drop down again. I will put landscape architecture 1, come to assign to. Here I'm going to add new because obviously it's not me. Under name, you can begin typing and then it will show a drop down of names. I'm going to add Vanessa Lindores. Okay. And then task details, I'm just going to put PM supervision and begin to add some hours for her as well. Populating other things, such as maybe I need an associate engineer to do some review on this project, so just some plan spec review. So I can do this as well. I'll come to CFAS, civil engineering. Again, I don't know who's going to be assigned to this project. Maybe that section doesn't know at this time either because it's later on. So I can go ahead and leave the assigned to column blank. Again, you don't do that with section. You always want to populate the section column. For task details, just to remind myself, I'm just going to say this is for stormwater plan review and put some hours associated with that. For example, if I want another associate engineer on this project and I don't really want to mix it because I know it's going to be from a different section, I can just essentially duplicate this row. So I'm going to highlight the row. I'm just going to click Control Copy, Control Paste, and it'll make a new one of the exact same thing. And then what I can do is I can change the section as needed. I go to MEP. Perhaps this is electrical plan review. Adjust the numbers as needed. And then that's how I can have additional rows if I need to customize this a little bit. One thing I want to mention is this column that it has the staff title, it's technically editable, but you don't want to edit anything in that just because the title is mapped back to other databases. And if you change that title, it's essentially going to break that link on where it's mapped to. So I really like to just copy paste rows as needed. If I don't need a row, I can just go ahead and leave it blank. There's no need to delete it. Moving forward, you'll just want to begin to populate all of these different divisions as needed. As we reviewed earlier, we'll want to get cost estimate requests for all the engineering services. This is phase 3, so I'm going to be inputting time for plan and spec review. Say I've already done that, and I can just start populating these based off of the information that these different sections have given me. For these, you can see the section is already populated, so there's nothing you need to edit there. In terms of assigned to, unless you have that information provided by that section, there's really no need to populate that. And then task details, it's really up to you if you want to be a little bit more specific on what they're going to be doing for this project. So each section, if you have requested time for them, you're just going to go ahead and input the time that they've provided you. I'm just going to populate these as examples: MTL staff, survey staff. And now that we have some numbers populated here, we can start to see that it's adding up and providing us a staff cost. Once you've kind of gone through each phase, you'll get a sense of how much staff cost is being associated to this project. And these numbers as well are added to this estimated project costs. In addition to staff costs, you want to update as much as you can in terms of some of these other costs associated to your project, such as consultant expenses. So under consultant expenses, perhaps you're currently working on a service order, you already have one, or you have a sense of the budget you need for a service order, and you need to prepare one in the future. But you can go ahead and just input the number here, say for this one, 200,000, and then it's going to get 200,000, and it's going to give you a red alert just because it's reminding you that you do need to make sure you fill in this non-staff fiscal year. So I'm going to drop down and put fiscal year 26-27 for this one. For consultant expenses as well, you want to try your best to populate the number associated to each phase. So during the design phase, if there's a certain amount, you can input that amount there. But the consultant might be breaking down their service order for phase 4 and phase 5 and give you amounts for those phases as well. And you just want to scroll down to those phases and input those numbers in the appropriate phase. Just because it will give you a better sense of how much money is needed and being spent for those phases, as well as when those phases are going to occur based off of the schedule that you populated. Let me just check if there's anything else. I think that generally wraps up populating the actual costs for the CPP estimate. One thing you want to do, especially in the beginning, but throughout the project as well, is go to this right menu column and click Summary. You want to make sure you have a tag on the first creation of the CPP estimate. It's going to be blank. And then you're going to come down, you're going to click 2627 cost estimate. That's what you want to tag it with. You also want to update tags for ongoing projects. And then for the budget stage, this is a new project. If it's an ongoing project, it'll likely already have that if you've done it in the future. The difference between anticipated and potential projects is that anticipated projects have a more than a 50% chance of moving forward, while potential projects have less than a 50% chance of happening. So in this one, I'm just going to go ahead and click New Project. And that's it for the sheet summary. And I'm going to save. And that wraps up creating a CPP for a new project. You will want to go back into the resource summary and just take a look at this data. But we'll jump into this a little bit further when we talk about updating a CPP for an existing project. So moving forward to that, for an existing project, throughout the project, you will want to update the CPP. You'll just want to be tracking the project budget as well as what you've estimated and see where your budget is at that time. You'll want to make sure your schedule is relevant and up to date. If not, you can actually update these schedule dates in CPMS, but you can also go into CPP back into that schedule tab that I shared previously and update numbers there and then import it into CPP or CPMS. So it's really up to you. But again, the more accurate your schedule is, the more accurate your cost estimate is going to be. So for this one, we're going to jump into budget. We're going to take a look at the resource summary because this is an existing project, and we're just going to see some of the data that it shows right here. This is highlighted in red. All red alerts you want to make sure to jump in and address as soon as you can. The reason why it's red is that the section is not assigned for this. You can see it's not available here. So this is time that you are expecting to be used for this project, but it's really not showing up in anyone's staff report because it doesn't have a section assigned to it. So we'll take a look at how to address that. There's also some yellow alerts here. For this one, it's alerted yellow because for this associate engineer, there was 10 hours estimated in CPP. There's 17 actuals. So just communicating to you that the actuals have exceeded your estimate. So if you're in the design phase and you know that more time is going to be needed for this staff on this project, you're going to want to go in and create a or input a more accurate estimate for this staff. And then there's another yellow down here. And this, you can see the estimate is 0 for this one, and there's 7 hours assigned. This is communicating to you that this staff is not showing up in your CPP at all. So it's not that they've exceeded their estimated amount. There's just no time estimated for this particular staff. So that's something to consider too. Likely you'll want to create this line item and make sure there's hours estimated for this staff to show up. So same way to access CPP, you're going to go to edit. You're going to go ahead and click this icon, and it's going to bring you to the dashboard. We're going to jump right into Project Budget Planner. Hide this navigation pane. First thing we're going to want to look at is that red alert. So CPP does a really good job on just showing you where the red alert is. So that's highlighted. You can see, as we talked about, estimated total hours is 20, no section, no other details. So during an ongoing project, the project manager is just going to want to think about, do I need this time? If I do, I want to make sure I assign a section. If I don't need this time and this was just something, a placeholder, a reminder, or something else, you can just go ahead and delete that line item. So whatever you need for your particular project, for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and assign it. Looking at some of the other estimates, just to remind us, there was an associate engineer on the civil engineering team with 10 hours estimated and 17 hours actual. So if we're looking here, there is an associate engineer, civil engineering, 10 hours. So now we're going to think about, is this staff person done working on this project? Maybe the design documents are done for this phase. In that case, if you want to rectify this item, you can go ahead and press 17, and essentially all the actual hours have been estimated. If you're still on an early construction document preparation phase of 60%, they're probably going to need more time. You originally estimated 10, maybe we'll need 40 just to account for future time as well. And then the last one is a line item that has not been accounted for. So it's an associate engineer in the MEP and CFAS. So for that one, we'll want to, again, like I did previously, control copy this associate engineering title. And really in either of these, we can jump in. We know that's MEP. And that is not the task detail. If you know it, go ahead and input it, but we don't have to. And that has 7 hours built to the project. So really, again, it's up to you. Maybe that 7 hours was just a one-off review that you needed from them. Go ahead and click 7 so that's accounted for, but you know you're not going to need more time from that associate engineer. So that should be rectified. Then we're going to go ahead and click Save. We're going to just double check this summary. This has the 25-26 tag, so we want to update that to fiscal year 26-27. This is an ongoing project that's accurate. So we're done with the sheet summary. I like to just save it again. And then we're going to go back into CPMS and just take a look at whether or not all these line items were resolved. So how you do that is we're in the resource summary. We're going to click this CPP budget to CPMS button. This takes a little bit to load, and there'll be another link that I'll click that will take a little bit to load. In that time, I just want to talk a little bit again about those yellow alerts. So those yellow alerts, especially the ones that are identifying that your actuals have exceeded your estimate, it's really up to the project manager how to deal with that. I think early on in the project, you definitely want to make sure your estimate is as accurate as possible and accounting for all the hours that might be spent on the project. Later on in the project, I think, especially during construction, I think that's the exceeding hours is a good sense for you to understand where you are, where those actual times have surpassed what you've estimated. And it's good for the PM to track where the project is essentially going over budget, or will it go over budget based off of your estimate. So it's really up to you to kind of manage those numbers. Early on the project, I think it's best to resolve all of them to get an accurate estimate. But as the project goes on, it's up to you to kind of use that data for as best as you can as a project manager. So that's done loading. We're going to come back down to resource summary. You can see the red line item went away. That was the engineer. What's that? Well, we signed a section to it and it went away. The associate engineer here in the civil engineering, you can see it was 17. It was 10 previously. Now it's 40, so it counts for that actual time. And then the other yellow item went away because we were able to add this line item here, the associate engineer and MEP team. We just put 7 to account for the time because we know we're not going to need any more than that. That pretty much wraps up updating an existing CPP for an existing project. And at this time, I believe I'll be passing it on to Rashmi.
Thank you, Grant. That was very nice. Thanks for covering CPP estimate. You covered it inside out totally. Thank you. And I would also take this time to say thanks to Gianni, who has worked very tirelessly on this CPP, and also to our SMEs who have mostly left the city now, but their vision and their arguments about why we need a certain feature in a certain way, that will stay with us. To name a few SMEs, Jane, Amanda, Aziza, all of them, thank you for giving us this vision. And I'm Rashmi Maheshwari. I work with CPMS Tech Team, and I would like to show the staff workload heat map, which is a step further in taking these estimates and the projected numbers which you see in resource summary, which is essentially the available time that you have estimated certain number, you have used the actuals. This is coming from the labor reports. And then you have some projected hours that this is available now. So if we want to project these available hours in a visual way for next 52 weeks and to see how does it look, what is my next year looking like? So it gives you the staff workload heat map gives you that visual representation. So it's basically breaking next whole year in 52 weeks, and it is showing the phase. Each box is showing the phase, that which phase this project is in this week, and how much was estimated and how much is available now. And it splits that evenly among the remaining weeks of that phase. And that's how we give the hours per week thing to show the workload, that what is involved and what is there. So as for this project, if we go here, you see these are the projected lines and these are the projected numbers. And for survey, you see that it is exceeded. So we don't have anything available for this number. 89 was estimated, 100 has been used. So there's no availability left for it. So this kind of gives me a thing here, a notification that either the work is done or if it needs to be adjusted, like the estimate is underestimation. So, so here, when I see zeros here, that 2 weeks of the phase are left and it's still showing zero. So that's an indication for me. Okay? And then in phase 4, if you go here, you can say phase 4, and you see 2 people are involved in this. So in phase 4, you see 2 people are involved. And then in phase 5, what is the split for phase 5? So that's what this, so anything which is projected is being shown here as hours per week to show the workload. So this is at the project level, but I can still do this thing at the resource level also. Like if I go and if I say that I want to see Vanessa's workload. So I can pick Vanessa, click on submit, It takes a little time because it's doing the work there. And it shows her workload, her projects, that what all she's involved in, and the phases here. So all these phase legend is up here also to show, and then it just gives the workload for her. And you can see that when she's very busy and when she can start taking more projects, right? So on the similar thought, like if I go and if I, like this is a very versatile tool that an individual can use, a section manager can use, and a division manager. So as a section manager, if I go here and if I want to see the workload of my staff, and because we use there's a mixing of staff, like um, we share the staff members. So if I go that, okay, these are the people I'm interested in, you can pick your resources and you can click on submit. And it will give you the whole workload thing over here for next 52 weeks. And then you can see that who can I assign work to and what is a good time for that. And when you see things like the numbers which are over the top, that means that this estimation was going way over, right? So those are my visual clues to see at a glance that what is, like, if something is off. So anything which is over the top or very low number, right, or zeros. So those are my clues to understand. So here, if I see for Chris that this project is still in phase 3 for a long, long time, and everywhere it is showing 0. So it is a majorly underestimation going on, right? So, so those are my clues about it. So, and then as a section manager, again, if I want to see all of my projects, not just the resources, I want to see all of my projects. So you can pick division, you can pick your section, you can click on section project ID, and you can click on submit here to see all of your projects. So this is something which is giving you, again, at a glance, things. So this is telling me that the project is in phase 5. The associate engineer which we picked, we hasn't been assigned yet, which is okay, which is not such a big thing. But some hours were still with Titus, and he has left the city, which needs a reassignment. So it needs a reassignment kind of a thing. So it just gives me again some visual clues over here that what is going on. And sometimes you'll find a project here that has no CPP. So that's again a visual clue that, or maybe this project got left behind and there's no CPP for a project. So this is at a section, as a section manager or as a division manager, you can look at the things together. So that wraps my section. And to, sorry, I did miss on how to access heat maps. So it is on our portal page. If you go to reports, general, the last report, staff workload heat map, that's how you access workload heat map. Thank you. Back to Clarissa.
You're muted,
Clarissa,
Clarissa.
Oh, there we go. Thanks, guys. Um, So just a reminder, there's some additional tools here. Rajmi mentioned a lot of these already, but these are just snippets of what you can take with the slide deck to fall back on if you ever need to figure out how to access those. These are going to be great additional tools. Resource summary to see all the collective data all in one place, as staff mentioned, and then the staff workload heat map, which Rajmi also mentioned, to visualize the next weeks. All right. That will bring us to our Q&A. I haven't seen many questions, excuse me, come in, but feel free to send those in if you have any right now. I'll also open it up to the presenters if you guys wanted to address any questions that have come in. but I know you guys have already typed in some answers there too. So we'll give it a few moments, let all the content that presenters went over sit a little and see if anyone has any questions. And if there's no questions, I wouldn't be surprised because presenters have had a stellar performance. So, any questions? Okay.
Teresa, do you want to go over the answered ones?
For the two questions that came in?
Mm.
Let's see here. We've got for the question that came in for the estimate request submittal, is there a location to upload plans and documents? And answer, not directly on the CPMS request form. You could provide a share link to SharePoint or OneDrive in the request details, or send documents and share links directly to ES contacts. Rajmi, do you want to go over that second one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the question is that some update couple months ago to allow us to indicate which FYs the staff cost is scheduled for instead of spreading out evenly over the course of the phase. So Trin, actually, it was never available for staff cost. We do spread it evenly over the course. And if this is something we need to consider more, we can talk separately. But yeah, it's spread evenly right now. Yeah.
Thanks, Rajmi.
And Tin has another question about the consultant expenses. How can it be captured in CPP? So Grant, do you want to go over that? Yeah.
Can you repeat that question?
He wants to see again the how consultant expenses should be captured in CPP.
What do you mean by certain expenses?
Consultant expenses, sorry.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. I will share my screen. Okay, so this was the updating the existing that we had. So under each of the phases, really, there's going to be a section here before we jump into the actual staff time. So for this one, you can see the consultant expenses here. There's a couple identified here like geotechnical report and design. And then you'll input essentially the amount of that service order in the non-staff cost column. And then, as I mentioned before, it's best to split this up if you know if it's going to be split up into different phases. If the consultant provides you multiple tasks in their service order that identifies the budget within phase 3 for design or bidding and award support or construction administration services, to make sure you put in that amount for each of the phases, such as down here in phase 4 and phase 5. And then in addition to that, you just want to make sure you enter the dropdown of the fiscal year, essentially estimated on when that amount is going to be spent.
And to add to this, Trin, you'll also see that in the PWCAP column, it auto-calculates the PWCAP part of it, which is what Suzanne is also looking for. So, so every consultant expense, it has a PWCAP associated with it. I hope that answers.
Thanks, Grant. All right. I have not seen any other questions come in, so if you do have any other questions, we can get those answered now or in the future, but to go over a little bit of resources for you guys in addition to this training as well. In CPMS, up at the top right corner, there's the help menu, and you can access some guides, the staff planning user guide and the CPP user guide. Here it'll show you how to navigate there. If you need it, use it. We highly encourage it. Once you're in the user guide, we also highly encourage you use the search feature. If you ever need anything that you're looking for, you can just pop that in and it'll give you where to go in the guide itself for CPMS. And then, as I mentioned, if you have any questions in the future or maybe now and you want to get those addressed on the side, you can reach out to team members, any one of the presenters here. I've listed some of them here. There's a CPMS tech team. Most of you guys already know to reach out to them via this email address, and someone from the team will respond. You can reach out to the admin team if you'd like. And then engineering services, going back to slide 8, where Matt discussed who to reach out to. You can always reach out to any respective staff pertaining to your question. And then myself as well, if you guys need or don't know where to navigate to, you can always ask me in the training team and I'll try and get you that answer or direct you to the right person. This slide deck and this recording is being recorded, so these tools will also be available for you guys. They'll be uploaded to the TND website, and you can go back to them if you have any new staff, refer them to it. This is going to be a great resource to utilize later if you need to go back to it. And the nice part is you can go through it a little bit faster, forwarding through any content that you're looking for and then pausing and going from there. So with that said, that ends our training. I want to thank the presenters. I want to thank our participants for joining us for that robust training, and stay warm, everyone, and be safe out in the rain. Thank you.